Okay. Okay, welcome to Fostering Self-Advocacy for Deaf and Hard of Hearing Students. I'm Miranda Kemp.
I'm Madison McKee.
And I'm MacKenzie, BoWell.
We are acting as itinerant teachers for the deaf and hard of hearing, and this is a class that's supposed to be given to a general education group of teachers. So let's get going today.
Okay, so first we wanted to start with what is self-advocacy. So self-advocacy is the ability of a student to understand their own strengths, needs, and rights. It is also the ability to communicate those needs to others, whether that's teachers or their peers. For students who are deaf or hard of hearing, this means explaining things such as their hearing technology, requesting accommodations, or expressing their need for clarification. True self-advocacy also involves things like goal setting, decision-making, and taking personal responsibility. As educators, it is crucial that we create a classroom environment where students feel safe, empowered, and respected when speaking up for themselves.
There are 4 pillars of self-advocacy: knowledge of self, knowledge of rights, communication skills, and leadership. We can think together about where these opportunities show up in your classroom already and how we can be intentional in supporting them.
So assessing self-advocacy, you can support assessments by noting when students advocate for themselves already or use tools or ask clarification. We should encourage reflection though. Have kids that think, what helped me today? It's a simple prompt that builds self-awareness. We can use check-ins and simple surveys to track progress over time. It's important to interview our students and to see how they feel and where they think they could improve too. One of our biggest teacher tips is to use exit tickets or journal prompts to help gauge a student's confidence level.
Okay, self-determination is the foundation of advocacy. We can help students build self-determination by including them in planning and encouraging them to make choices. Another way to build self-determination is to use peer role play and help students practice real scenarios. We can also normalize the culture of inclusion by teaching students to the use of assistive tech and to teach the entire class to be accepting of assistive tech and give opportunities for students to take the lead as in explaining their own supports.
So promoting positive peer interaction. Fostering an inclusive classroom culture starts with intentional modeling. Teachers can show what a respectful and inclusive, teachers can show what respectful and inclusive behavior looks like, and they can actively promote that all students do the same. For our deaf and hard of hearing students, or for the deaf and hard of hearing students in your class, you can give them leadership roles and opportunities to participate in group decision-making. This will help them build confidence working with their peers. Recognize and celebrate when a student uses an accommodation. This will help normalize other tools such as FM systems, captioning, and interpreters, which will help reduce the stigma associated with being perceived as different. Also, integrating ASL into the classroom is a powerful way to support deaf and hard of hearing students while enriching the learning environment for everyone. Teaching basic signs like greetings, emotions, or classroom vocabulary encourages communication, it builds empathy, and it bridges the gap between the deaf and hard of hearing students with their hearing peers.
So our next two slides are focused more on early childhood and the self-advocacy we can support with these students. The first ones, whenever we start working with any student, but DHH students especially, is helping them learn social routines. In early childhood, this support of social routines is also part of relationship building. We help the child orient to the classroom and to all of the different routines within it. When it's time to put away their backpack or their jacket, what do they get to do first in the day? What do they get to do during transition times? It's important when we introduce materials to introduce them by showing and modeling what they can do with it and what not to do, since this explicit instruction is usually needed without good forms of communication that we might build slowly over time, but some students do not enter with early childhood having these forms of communication solidified. It's important to focus on transitions and routines that will help stabilize the child as they are learning more about their environment. Then we have dealing with conflict. While conflict spans all age ranges, specifically in early childhood, it is important for students to learn how to be self-advocates during conflict and to help bridge those communication and language barriers. When we don't have full language yet, or if there is a communication or language barrier between multiple languages, it's even more important to learn the steps to negotiate and problem solve between students. So they need help first identifying their emotions, talking to their peers, and using I statements, as well as maybe using visuals to help to negotiate between two students. And one very quick example, though I bet you all have your own instances that you've been dealing with conflict with children, is if one student wants a ball that another student has, a conflict in a preschool classroom could quickly arise from one student just taking the ball. Now, initially we might think that's a conflict because the first student is malicious or just wanted it and didn't ask for it, but they might not have had the communication or language to appropriately ask for it. And the second student might not have had the appropriate language to ask for it back politely, and thus a conflict occurs. So by using role playing or other tools, we can build a rapport between these two students without them deteriorating into further conflicts. Now we're going to start talking about a different age range, which is adolescence.
So adolescent needs and goal setting. So as students move into adolescence, developing independence becomes the key focus. Supporting students in setting and working towards personal goals is an important step in preparing for their life after graduation. So work with your students and teach them how to write and monitor SMART goals. For example, as shown, the goal, I will ask to move seats if I'm trouble here. I will ask to move closer to the teacher when I can't hear clearly. So goals like this give students ownership over their own learning and help them reflect on their progress. Additionally, regular check-ins and encouragement to revise their goals as needed builds lifelong self-awareness and advocacy skills.
Adolescent needs and goal setting. As students get older, we focus more on individual goal setting. So that's putting that self-determination into place. And we can help them to write SMART goals like, I will ask to sit closer if I can't hear. And we can also help them to promote other ways to repair communication with their peers or teachers. This builds ownership and prepares them for life beyond school. Encourage regular reflection and adjustment to match the student's needs.
Beyond that, for adolescents, we also get into mentorship and role models. It is incredibly important to introduce deaf adults, even if it's just by online mentors. And there's wonderful programs like Hands and Voices Guide by Your Side, along with several other online if there are not a local deaf community easily accessible to the students. But these mentorships and role models allow students to have inspiration and real life experience and see what their lives could look like, as well as developing friendships and connection to the community. It builds confidence as these students enter adulthood. Now, what can you do tomorrow? Here are all these small steps that you can do tomorrow. You can check in with your DHH students, model the use of accommodations such as visual supports, immersive sign language within our classrooms, accepting of the assistive technology and making it a non-issue. It makes students feel less different when everybody accepts it. You can invite your DHH students to help with your planning or to role play different challenges they may have faced. You don't have to do any of this alone. We're here to partner with you and to be your resource if you have any further questions. These are our resources that we use to compile all of this. They are wonderful if you want to take a deeper dive into any of today's topics. Feel free to reach out to any of us if you have any individual students, planning, or strategies that you need to talk through. I know that together we all build a culture where our students thrive as self-advocates. Thank you for your time.